Hello and welcome to the Golden Playbook. Today we are going over 5 players who are getting drafted too high in Underdog best ball drafts. These guys' ADP are just too high for what I'm projecting them out to be this season. Of course, this is pre-NFL draft, so the rookies are in the rankings, but we don't know where they've landed and what the situation might be or how it might change. Nonetheless, these are the guys that early I am trying to fade, let my league mates draft ahead, and then I will take the value underneath of players that I like more, whether I have them lower than other players in my rankings, or if I just don't like their situation or their talent. Before we hop in, make sure you smash that subscribe button somewhere down there. It's easy to do, free, and we are on the road to 100 subscribers, and me and Copper, who you all know very famously, are going to get thick cut bacon when we hit 100 subscribers, so please support and smash that subscribe button. Without further ado, let's get into the first player. I've got players kind of in the upper rounds, middle rounds, and one later. This first one, Brock Bowers. I know that might ruffle some feathers. He's being drafted at pick 16, tight end 1, obviously. Don't get me wrong, I think Brock Bowers is an excellent player, an awesome talent, and arguably his situation got better with Geno coming to town. However, he's being drafted a full 12 spots higher than Trey McBride. As you know, I have McBride higher in my rankings personally. Also, we saw Sam Laporta take a sophomore dip last season. Not that I'm expecting that out of Brock Bowers, but it's in the realm of possibilities, and we have to keep that in mind, even though the situation got a little bit better for him. With that being said, if I'm going to be taking a tight end early in one of these drafts, I'm going to wait the full round to take McBride. And with that pick that you are having to take Bowers at, you can take players like Drake London, Ladd McConkey, Jonathan Taylor, Bucky Irving. Obviously guys that you're going to want to fill out your running back and receiver positions, which is so vital, especially in a best ball format. But this can be the same argument for redraft as well. I'm going to wait a full round and take McBride and then grab one of those receivers or running backs that I like quite a bit more, especially when I don't see Bowers and McBride in that much of a tier difference. I think the 12 spots is just too far. Like I said, it's nothing against Brock Bowers, a player, just where he is being drafted compared to McBride and the other tight ends. Also, Underdog is only half-point PPR. We know he's a reception machine, much like McBride is, but neither guy showed to have crazy touchdown upside, at least not yet in their career. So I don't even think that gives an edge to Bowers much more than McBride. Another reason I think they should be closer in their rankings and closer in their ADPs.
Hello everyone, make sure you subscribe. I really want some thick cut bacon, please. I'm being really good for this ball right here. Go. Just kidding, I don't even want it. Please subscribe.
Let's move on to our next guy, and that is A.J. Brown, a guy who I've been fading quite a bit so far in this early season. He's being drafted at pick 18 and the wide receiver 10 overall. If you're unfamiliar with Underdogs, the wide receivers go early and often because there are 3 wide receiver spots, as well as the flexes, of course. So, a lot more values to the receivers than running backs, especially early. With that being said, I've kind of explained why I'm a little bit down on A.J. Brown so far this year. There's just simply not enough passing volume in that offense. The Eagles showed last season that they just want to run the ball, get Saquon 25 carries a game, Jalen Hurts 10 carries a game. And that results in a lot of the touchdowns being rushing, not many pass attempts. They want to be under 25 pass attempts a game. And despite the limited target share between A.J., Schmitty, Goddard, and Saquon, really those 4 guys, even though it's that small, there's just simply not enough volume to go around to kind of really bolster A.J. Brown to top 10 wide receiver numbers. Of course, we've seen he is the talent to do so, but the way they want their offense set up from a pure football schematic standpoint, they just do not want to be airing out the ball because that's not their strengths, and they're a smart enough team. They're well coached to play to their strengths, which is running the ball, shortening the game by running down the clock, and really kind of taking the ball out of Jalen Hurts' hands for the most part. Another reason I'm fading A.J. Brown at this price is the wide receivers after him I just simply like more from an upside standpoint. which is huge, especially in best ball, but redraft as well. And Ladd, JSN, T. Higgins, Garrett Wilson, even though, quarterback is up in the air for especially Garrett, but I just like those guys. I feel like they can all be number ones, except for T, obviously, but they can really break out. We've seen what they can do last season. I feel like a lot of them are just going to continue to elevate their game. When A.J. Brown, I'm not so sure he's in the situation to do so, unfortunately. Next player on the board is Joe Mixon. He's being drafted at pick 51, RB 16 overall. And this one, I'm a little bit predicting that he's kind of run down, end of his course, if you will, which I was predicting this for a lot of those older vet running backs last season, and obviously they had a fantastic season, most of them. But I truly do think this is the end of Mixon's kind of dominant, consistent run. Obviously, the Texans had traded away and lost a lot of their offensive linemen during this offseason, especially Laramie Tunsil at left tackle. So they have a completely reworked offensive line, which is never good for a running back. At the end of last season, when he came back off the ankle injury, his efficiency seemed way, way down. Some games, the Texans were almost abandoning the run. That's how inefficient it looked. Obviously, he's coming off an injury at that point, but still, I think even in the new season, he's going to be a little bit of a step slower. I imagine the Texans could even draft a running back, which obviously we don't want to predict that too much in case that isn't the case. But I really think Mixon is going to slowly start his downward climb, and maybe not so slowly this season. Also, he's a guy who misses 3, 4, 5 games this season. He's only played every game of the season only twice, I believe. So he's just not a guy who's giving you a full season, which obviously is very helpful in a best ball format. You need all the players you can get. And once again, guys behind him that I just prefer over him. Chuba, Kenneth Walker even, Alvin Kamara. These are guys I think situation is better, upside is better, efficiency for most of them is a little bit better. I just think Mixon is going to begin that downhill climb, and I'm willing to fade him where he's currently being drafted, especially if you look at the receivers being drafted in that area as well. Cortland Sutton, Jordan Addison, Olave, Chris Godwin, all very good, solid wide receivers. Obviously, in this format, you want to be a little heavy on wide receiver, so that's all the more reason, in my opinion, for Mixon to really fall down rankings a little bit. I think his ADP is just too high. Our fourth player on this list is Jerry Jeudy, being drafted at 64th overall, wide receiver 35, a player who finally broke out in year 5. Took him till his 5th year to have a fantasy relevant season, and truly it was only half the season, to be quite honest. And that was when our beloved Jameis Winston became quarterback of the Browns, who is an absolute gunslinger. We know that. That's why we were happy when he went to New York until they signed Russ. But hey, Malik Neighbors, he's got a good duo of quarterbacks coming to him, are willing to sling the rock his way. But anyways, back to the point. Jerry Jeudy, I just don't see the talent there. I liked him coming out of college, but it has not come to fruition whatsoever. Being traded on the rookie deal is obviously a sign that you're not too valued by that team, as Jeudy was. And honestly, now that Jameis is gone, it took Cedric Tillman getting hurt to really bolster Jeudy up. So that wide receiver 1, I just don't think he's going to, continue what he was doing at the end of last season. Obviously, the quarterback situation's up in the air. Who knows who that's going to be? Probably a rookie. So that'll take time to get chemistry. I don't really find Jeudy as a good separator, route runner, any of that. So I think Judy's being drafted too high in Underdog best ball. And I'm going to take a shot on a guy whose quarterback situation is up in the air. It's guys after him like Pickens or Ridley. And if I don't want to deal with an up in the air quarterback situation, I'm fine grabbing Jacoby Myers, Khalil Shakir, these guys who have obvious security at the quarterback position. And I've kind of proved over the last couple seasons they're going to be good PPR guys, nothing too crazy, but they'll be solid for you, especially in the best ball format. You need guys that can kind of perform week in, week out. Maybe they aren't going to have quite the ceiling a Jerry Jeudy might hit if he gets there. But these kind of guys will give you a solid 15 points most weeks, which is really nice to have coming, because this is in your wide receiver 3-4 range. I just don't see Jeudy repeating what he did at the end of last season. I think everything had to break right for him, and it happened to do so, especially having Jameis, who's just willing to keep firing the ball. Jeudy benefited from just everything going correct, and I do not project that to happen again in 2025. Our fifth and final name on the list is Isiah Pacheco. He is obviously further down the list. He's being drafted 107th overall, RB 31. Obviously, he had the brutal injury last season. I'm not taking that away from him. But when he came back, he looked absolutely horrendous. Efficiency numbers so down. Didn't look like a good receiver of the ball. Obviously, Kareem Hunt, an old-ass Kareem Hunt, looked better than he did. And they signed him back. So obviously, they liked what they saw enough. I think this will be an all-time running back by committee. Wouldn't be shocked if they add another body to the mix. I really think this is the beginning of the end for Isiah Pacheco, unfortunately. Obviously, only a 7th-round draft pick. They don't have much capital in him. Not much to say about him other than he is a hard runner. You know, he brings some juice, but the efficiency was not there after the injury last season. And I really think that could be more of the same this year. And this late in a best ball draft, I'm wanting to shoot for guys who have boom potential, able to take over an RB1 job. And I just don't think Pacheco is going to get back to that. I'd be much more willing to take a shot on one of the rookies that are coming out in this range, or a Zach Charbonnet even, who has showed last season that they can do it, and that they have a clear path to the number one if something goes right for them. In Pacheco's case, I don't know. Even if Kareem Hunt were to go down, I still think Kansas City would want this to be by committee, kind of give all the workload to one player anymore. And again, I made this argument for a lot of the players, but some of the receivers underneath him, Stephon Diggs coming off the ACL, very interesting in New England. Bateman, Mims, all guys who had big boom games. That is great for best ball. And then even tight ends in this range. Njoku, Evan Ingram, Tucker Kraft. These are solid guys and a solid time to kind of fill in your tight end slot. I just think the other positions at this point in the draft are just better suited to grab than the running back, especially an Isiah Pacheco, who did not show promising things at the end of last season. All right, those are my 5 players who are currently being drafted too high in Underdog Best Ball. For one reason or another, I am fading them at their current ADP. Drop down a like if you want to see the video of players being drafted too low next week, and I'll get that out to you guys that are great value, who I am itching to draft. Also, comment down below who is a player that you think is being drafted too high right now, or a guy that's on your fade list, so we can kind of compare notes on that. Make sure you smash the subscribe button. Really appreciate all the support, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks.